wealthy people, really wealthy people make quick decisions and it takes them a long time to change their mind. Poor people takes them forever to make a decision. And then they're quick to change their mind. Hey guys, welcome to the Freedom Factory. This is episode 19, and today we got a great one for you. She's incredible. Jami Williams is here with us today. Her teams are exploding. You'll see that in this interview. The smile is authentic, the energy, and she's going to walk you through some incredible, I would say, insight into her own story and how that might help you. Great story from, a background, a just Midwest background, hardworking parents, to now where she is now as an entrepreneur and highly successful six-figure earner in network marketing. So let's jump into the podcast. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast this week. This is episode 19. And I don't know what to think about that, because time is moving so quickly, but I'm excited that we are able to continue to bring you guys some weekly content. And this week, I'm really pumped because I've got someone with us this morning that I think you guys are going to really enjoy the story and get to know her. I've known her for several years. Recently, she's had some massive wins in her business, and we can learn. We can learn from each person's story. That's what this whole thing's about. It's why I interview professional network marketers, is so that we can learn from the process, the journey. So Jami Williams is here with us today. How are you, Jami?
I am doing awesome. I'm so excited for this, Brandon.
Good. I'm excited too. So, as I said, time goes by so fast. I remember meeting you. I'm going to the COVID. It's so weird with COVID. When I started trying to think when I met somebody, I'm like, okay, COVID was 2020. So how many years before COVID?
It was a really long period.
Right. So we've had to have known each other 6 or 7 years, maybe even 8 to 10. How long? Do you remember?
Well, I know we were on an incentive trip when someone kept introducing me to you about 6 times. We're like, yep, we know each other. Yep, we met. Yep, on a dance floor out at an incentive trip, and it was super fun. I'm like, yep, I know him. He's getting to know who I am. That's super fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I know that I've been able to watch your journey through, a distance, a different lens a little bit. And I want to get to know you a little bit more with the audience here. So tell us a little bit of your background. Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about your upbringing, parents, children, only child, brothers, sisters. Tell us a little bit about Jami.
Yes, I'm so excited. So I would be honestly surprised if people actually knew where I was from. Harvard, Nebraska. I'm a tiny little town. I currently live in Hastings, Nebraska now, but I was born and raised in a tiny little town, no stoplights, just a stop sign. Graduated with 26 people. I have 2 brothers. So
26 people. Okay, that's little.
People total. Tiny little town. Yeah. So when I tell people I'm from Harvard, they immediately think the university. I'm from Harvard, Nebraska. Put it on the map. So tiny little town in central Nebraska, and honestly, country living. My dad races mini sprints. I grew up around dirt bikes. I grew up around motorcycles, which I'm a Harley girl. So riding my motorcycle, but sports has been honestly my life. Being an active athlete, I was a collegiate athlete. I played college basketball, where I was fortunate enough to be on a 2-time national championship team. So I've had a lot of success in the sports world, and that turned into now I'm on the sideline as a coach. And fast forward, I have 4 kids now that are 12, 10, and twin 5-year-olds. And I've been able to coach them, coach at the high school level, help at my community YMCA and any youth programs that I can. But honestly, team building, I think, and being part of a team has been a core of who I am. My dad was an athlete. My mom was an athlete. My parents are just blue collar workers. My mom worked in the hospital. My dad owns a body shop. And I formerly worked as an exercise specialist in cardiac and pulmonary rehab. So I did that for 13 years until I was introduced to the field of network marketing. So it's been a wild adventure coming from a tiny little town, never having heard of anything like this. Obviously being in middle of Nebraska, there's a lot of opportunity that we don't see, when it comes to careers and things. Like, we are in the ag world, and healthcare really is what people are in, healthcare and agriculture. So I have a very limited experience in network marketing. So this has been a unexpected blessing that just kind of got dropped in my lap when it found me.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot there to unpack. So first thing is, you had twins since you were introduced to network marketing.
Correct.
That's a whole story. Like, that's a whole story. There's so many moms out there that, are like, how in the world do you build this business with a baby? And you did twins. So that's a whole, that's its own podcast. Your mom worked as a W-2, but your dad owned a business.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So do you explain a little bit into your decisions as you were going through life? So you went through college, obviously you were educated there, but seeing the lens of your mom's business or income, seeing the lens of your dad, did that play into your future decisions of what you wanted to do?
Honestly, looking back on it, yeah, it did, because I could see my mom worked a lot of hours, especially in radiology. She worked a lot of calls. So when I was a kid, I remember being gone a lot, working, and she loves her job. She's great at her job. But then I also saw my dad building his own business, having that flexibility, building his own employees and that team. So looking back now that looking on careers, I can see that option of choice. And that's really something that has motivated me more and more and more. And that's probably rooted out of now being a mom. I want to have choice. I want to be able to kind of live life and design life on my time so that I can be more to my family. So it is an interesting place. And I've been a W-2 employee as well. I worked in the hospital for over 20 years and 13 of it being in cardiac rehab. So again, it was like, where do you find that balance when now I'm a mom, I'm a wife, but I also have a commitment with a job? And what does that look like if I made a pivot?
Yeah. Because what were you doing? Like, you got married years ago, but what were you doing out of college? Like, what was the direction you thought you were going out of college?
Honestly, I was looking into counseling. I wanted to counsel kids, and a job opportunity came up in our local community, and I had met my now future husband. So decided to stay put around here because a job opportunity came up with our YMCA, where I got to be our sports director and help in a leadership role there. And life was great. Like, it changes as you have kids. It changes as you grow. It changes as, your desires for what you're looking for. How are you going to get closer to that is what was I doing as, in those positions and working at the hospital too. Are they getting closer?
Am I hearing that the 12-year-old changed things?
Yes.
The first baby? Is that what I'm hearing? First baby changed things?
Honestly, I had 3 jobs at the time when I was married, and it was just because I'm an ambitious person. I'm a go-getter. I had 3 jobs at the time my husband met me, and then I was coaching as well, and then having a kid changes things. So I stepped away from coaching for a while. I was fortunate enough with my husband's job that I was able to cut back part-time. But things happen in life, like another chapter. Now I'm a mom, and what does that look like? Who do I want to be for her? And it's been something that I'm willing to grow through some pains, making some changes, but being introduced to an opportunity to really change that storyline has been an incredible blessing.
Yeah. Were there moments, before the child was born, like, maybe you were married, I don't know where that timeline falls, but when you were working the 3 jobs, were there moments where you thought like, this isn't for me, or you were totally cool with that life?
No, I enjoyed everything that I did, but I knew I wanted to have more time to do the fun stuff. I wanted to travel. I wanted to be able to be a little bit more flexible and not be so tied down to other commitments. So obviously it was like, what am I going to do to change this cycle, right? We have to be able to have some foresight to know, if I just stay put and just keep spinning this wheel, where am I going?
Yeah.
I was kind of going nowhere. I was loving it. I wasn't growing.
I ask those questions because the audience, we all go through this. Everybody, like, I, if a lot of maybe people in the audience know this, some may not, but like I tell people my life, like the fact that I have chosen network marketing full time, while it was a shock to me, like after it was done, like after I made the decision and I am where I am, and you look back, I'm kind of like, how did I end up here? I ended up like, it's not really a shock, shouldn't be a shock because, when I moved to Florida and had my first business opportunity, I ended up buying a metal refinishing business. And basically what we did is we cleaned and polished elevator metal. Like that's what we did. Like that was my job. I would go in elevators and we would make them pretty. And like nowhere in my wildest dream did I ever think said, when I left high school, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean elevators. But we made a lot of money. Like I was in my 20s and I was making $500 to $1,000 a night in my 20s. And so you're like, yeah, I'm good with this. This is awesome. Right. But something changes. Like for me, some things changed. The nights changed. I didn't want to be away from home with you, the baby. And so that kind of leads me into, so did you have 2 kids when you were introduced to network marketing?
Yes, I had my son, who's now 10, was 2.5 when I was introduced to this. So I had 2 kids at the time. Yeah.
So what did that look like? Like who approached you to hear about network marketing? Was it the first time you were approached? Had you done network marketing before? What's that story look like?
I'll be honest, like in the middle of Nebraska, maybe in the Midwest, network marketing is not something I was ever familiar with. If there were people around me that did it, I certainly didn't know it or I didn't understand it. So
is it safe to say you're the most successful networker ever out of Harvard, Nebraska?
I would say yes. It's fair to say that. Of the 26 people in my class, I don't know that anyone else has ventured into this career path. And I laugh at that because just like you said, how did I end up here? Like I was thinking, you don't go to school for network marketing. It's a path that finds you and it's your decision if you want to run on that path or not. I didn't understand it. I had never been introduced to it, but the way that I was introduced to it was actually in my job. When I was working in cardiac rehab, I had a patient come through that had undergone open heart surgery. And I had been in rehab for 10 years at that point, and I had never seen anyone bounce back so fast. And I was like, okay, got to know, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he told me about this product. And I was like, never heard of it. What is that? And he was really smart. He's a really well-trained man and said, talk to my wife. So I did. And to be honest, their doctors had reached out to them to share this information on that product. And I was like, I am all ears, because what he didn't know is my family history is riddled with disease. I have lost, my grandfather died at 38 from a heart attack. My dad's heart issues began at the age of 40. I'm 41. So when you talk about my ears are perking up because I want to learn about something that is not only going to help my dad, it's going to be a proactive measure for me. That's when I was like, all ears, tell me all about this. I didn't know that there was a business attached to that, but I watched what happened. And when I saw that recovery, I was like, I don't know what this is, but if it's half true, it's a big deal. Turns out when you dive in and you really learn what you have your hands on, it is a big deal. And I became incredibly passionate about diving in and learning more. But it was in my job that I took care of somebody where I saw the products at work.
So yeah, that's a normal path for people. Like, there's basically 2 paths. People get introduced to a product or they get introduced to an opportunity. That's usually how people get invited to this thing. And so for the audience listening, who knows when you're talking to someone about a product where that conversation's going to lead, especially when the product it's evident, it's obvious that there's some power behind the product. Like you said, like you saw someone really recover quickly, more remarkably than you'd seen before. So just shout out to all the people out there building a product business. There is a chance that you can build a big business that way. But now I'm really curious. So you talked to the wife about a product, but somewhere along the way, someone talked to you about a business. So how did that come about?
Yeah. So when I dove in and asked a little bit more about the product, she said, well, I want you to take a look at the whole thing. I want you to take a look at the business. And I was like, what does that mean? I had no idea. And honestly, she had sent me some information and I said, I watched it 12 times because I said, if this is even a little bit true, this is special. I don't know what this is, but I know I want it. And my first thing to her when she's like, well, I want you to look at the business and join my husband and I am like, yeah, I mean, I just saw what it did for him. So yes, I'm in on that, but I don't know anything about business.
Wow.
She's
So
like,
you
"Don't
say, yeah,
worry."
I'm in. That's just, I'd love, like, that's not, that's not normal. That's not.
No, and that's been a growing pain for me because I always say I am an impulsive person. And when I saw something that was of value, my gut has never led me astray. And
That's an
I
athlete. Jamie, that's an athlete thing. That's what I've come to find out in my 15 years. So there's this, I don't know if it's a saying or something, but basically it's this. Wealthy people, really wealthy people, make quick decisions and it takes them a long time to change their mind. Poor people takes them forever to make a decision. And then they're quick to change their mind.
Mhm.
And so I love what you just told us, because being impulsive, maybe, yes, you could be classified as that. But I just tend to think that athletes, business, because business is kind of like athletic mentally. It's not athletic physically, obviously, but mentally, there's challenges.
Tougher than that. Tougher than sports. Mentally, yes.
Yeah. So you said, yeah, I'm in. Yeah, this sounds good. I'm in. Then I'd love to know, once you made a decision to get in, because it doesn't sound like you had too many objections. Like you weren't too worried about, you really didn't know what network marketing was, right? Is that what you're saying?
I had no clue. I had no clue, but I also didn't have my walls up on what it was. I was willing to learn and be open-minded because I know that there's a lot of people that maybe have a sour idea in their mind about what it is. And what I have come to find out over the course of the last 8 years is a lot of people are just uneducated in what it is. They think they know, but until you dive in and learn, they're going to be like, this is brilliant. This is brilliant when you position yourself with the right motive, the right team, the right company. It just makes sense.
It's so much like a sports team. It's so much like a sports team. Like, you're not winning a basketball game by yourself. Michael Jordan could win zero chance of a championship by himself. Zero.
Yeah. You need other players.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
okay. So
go ahead.
You say, yes, you're in, but everybody has a rocky road with this thing. So you start telling people about it. What did that look like? What did it look like? What was your process? Were you introducing the product? Were you introducing the business? What were you doing?
I was definitely not introducing the business because I really didn't even understand that I had started a business. I just knew what I had seen and what I was excited about. So I went out and my intro to people was honestly, you've got to see what I just saw. And that's as simple as my message was. And I put information the same way that I learned it, the same tool that I saw is how I shared. And to be honest, I am someone that is trustworthy. So I know that the circle of people that I was bringing it to already trusted me. And I had a lot of people that now over the course of time had told me, I would have been reserved, but you were so excited when you brought this to me. I just knew you're like a no nonsense person. And you were so excited. I knew I had to look at it. And, as you look back on those things and those growing points, I realized you have to be someone of value to another person before you earn their trust. And that's probably why I had success getting out of the gate, because I had already had that reputation that I was someone of value. I didn't skip around in other companies. I didn't hop around. I am somebody that, like I said, I'm impulsive. When I make a decision, I stick to it. I am unwavering. It would take a lot to change my mind because my gut has never led me astray. And when I say I am competitive, I didn't sign up to not be successful at something. I knew I was going to have to learn. And like I had told the people that enrolled me that I don't know anything about business. I'm willing to learn, but I knew I had them to lean on to teach me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, just wondering, like, when you started to go through that process, I tell people, because I'm sure you witnessed this in network marketing, where there are people that join your team or you watch them join other teams. Some do have that quick success, some don't. And what you just touched on is primarily the reason. I tell people, listen, if you've been for the last 5 years or a decade, if you've been making good decisions, your network sees that. If you've been making 5 to 10 years of bad decisions, your network sees that. And when you join a network marketing company, a lot of your success has to do with your track record.
Mm-hmm.
You agree with that?
1,000%. It's a blow to some people's ego to hear that, but it's the truth.
It's really hard, right? But honestly, people join network marketing because there's something missing in their life. That's the other ego check. I tell this to people, like all my listeners right now, every one of you that have not hit your goals yet. It's the reason you join network marketing is because you haven't accomplished yet what you set out to accomplish as an adult. And for me, that was command of my time. We were making money, but I was a slave to my job. Like all I was doing was working. And that's not what I signed up for when I was younger. Like that's not how I wanted to live life. So I was not satisfied yet. So I signed up in network marketing because I needed something different than what I was doing before. It wasn't working. So, but yeah, what you mentioned is huge. I want all of the people that's listening to this podcast to understand that if you've been making good decisions, you will have good success. If you're not having success, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you can't have success. It just means it's time to start making some changes, right? It's time to start making some good decisions.
Yes. And to be like in alignment with that, it's also who you surround yourself with. I was around people who had success, people who were hard workers, people that made good decisions in business and in their life and their relationships. Like the circle of friends I run with are good people. And that matters. Like who you identify, who your circle of people are. You might be the trustworthy one in the group, but if the other four aren't, you are part of the problem. So it's identifying like it's okay to maybe outgrow some people that aren't moving you forward where you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. That's powerful. So I know everybody that joins network marketing, even though, maybe at a fast start, there's always hurdles. There's always obstacles. There's always times where we're like, should I keep doing this? So let's talk about that for a minute. Like what were some of the difficult times for you? Like what did some of that look like?
Yeah. Where do you start? If you're in this, you have to understand from the get-go, you're going to travel through a personal growth journey to really see how resilient you are. And honestly, how motivated and committed you are to being successful at this, because you have to grow through a lot. It is your fear of objection. That's in anything. You fear of not being liked by somebody, fear of not being trusted by somebody. Being told no hurts, right? Especially when you know what you have and it's special and it's important and you see value for that person in what you're sharing and they don't see it, that hurts. But another hurdle is the support of people, like spousal support, not understanding this industry, maybe having that sour taste of what this looks like, oh, you're going to be that spammy salesperson. That's not who I am. That's not who I am. And I always tell people when they feel that way, then you're approaching it wrong. And sometimes you've got to change the narrative in your own head. If you feel like you're selling, you probably are. If you feel like you're serving, now you're serving a purpose. You're helping. So it's people changing, the nonsense and the noise between their ears. But a lot of that comes from the noise around them with judgment, opinions. Like people are going to have an opinion of you anyway. So might as well chase what you want to do. This has been an incredible growth experience for me. I've leveled up in my circle of people where a lot of it changed for me because like I said, in the Midwest, I had never been introduced to anything like this. When I went to my first event, which was pretty close to when I got started, that's when the light bulb went off because I was in the room with people like you, people that I saw having success, people telling their story of they were the average person, craving something different, seeing value in what this vehicle of network marketing can provide. I'm like, okay, this is the real deal. These are great people. This is a culture of integrity. And I can see myself being here. And that's where it all changed. And that's where I was able to let down my guard on, I don't really care what people have an opinion of me about, or if they tell me no, I just move through the mess and find the next one.
So it was an event. Events are important, aren't they?
It changed everything. And I always tell people that are coming into this, like, it's not hype. I am somebody, I'm not going to lie, I am somebody that loves to be inspired. But people that want to be inspired are people that want to grow. I want to go places. And one of my friends recently, she's kind of been watching from the sidelines and seeing me have some success here, which has been awesome. And she's like, I just wanted to share this with you. It was a picture that said, some people are put on the earth not to evolve. And they're there to remind you what it looks like if you don't. I'm like,
Wow.
Amen to that. I see people that are stuck, the negative people that maybe have told me no or created some resistance or even created some negativity. They're stuck where they're stuck because they choose to be. And I am looking at them seeing there's way more better things to come ahead of me if I continue to evolve and grow. But it was at those events, that first event changed. And that's like an energy, because you connect with different people, different stories, pull your heart, where you identify with somebody, where you see your growth potential. I can't bring that energy back or those points back to somebody that wasn't in the room. It all changes with those events and where you build your network of people that you can lean on to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. So what was, or what has been like your biggest obstacle, and how'd you overcome it?
Honestly, my biggest obstacle was spousal support. And it's been a growing pain. And it was a matter of me showing more like value to what this meant to me. Because when someone's not part of it, they don't have that same connection and that same desire. So it was showing the value. And to be honest, like when you can start to show income, that helps. That helps big time. And my aha moment in what this vehicle really looked like for me was when my twins were born. I was still working at the hospital, loved my job. But when my twins were born, I was just trying to figure out life with 4 kids and keeping 2 little ones going who depended on me 100%. And my aha moment was I was watching my check in my business, even though I hadn't touched it, it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger without me. I was like, what is this magic? Meanwhile, my check at my job was 0 because I was a part-time employee who had 0 benefits on that. I was 0. Meanwhile, this little motor that I started a few years back was growing without me. And I said, this is my decision. I'm pivoting. I'm going all in here and I'm staying home with my kids. And it's been the best decision of my life. And being able to make that choice really took down that hurdle of the spousal support, because I was providing in a lot of ways because of that. I was home with the kids. I was taking care of the home life and building a business that felt good to me because I was still helping people.
That's powerful. Really powerful. I'm glad you shared that. And that is a big obstacle in this profession. And for the listeners, if you don't know, like typically somewhere between every company's typically between 70 and 80% female as a consultant, distributor, rep, whatever you want to call them. And so it's a female dominated industry by numbers. And for those people that are in relationships, I watched the tug of war, and it's, there's sometimes jealousy over the time. Like, I'm sure you maybe experienced that where you were doing trainings or you were on the phone at night, when the spouse is usually on their off time where they want to be with you or the kids, you're on your on time, you're working. And sometimes they see that as competition. Like, oh, that's more important than me type thing. And so I'm sure you maybe experienced some of that, and you probably witness it in your team, in your organization. And so then the other side of that, maybe you witnessed this too, or maybe you've seen it, is then when the females that are in network marketing, when their income starts to really go and rip, sometimes their income surpasses the partner's income, the male income. That's a whole nother conversation. And so did you experience that a little bit? Like, was it kind of a competition between your business and like family time? Did you see that?
Absolutely. Because my husband has a really interesting profession. He owns a house moving business. So they pick up structures and they relocate them. So that job takes you wherever those jobs are. So that could be around all of our surrounding states. And when they're far away, they stay away until the job is done. So that home time, is a delicate balance of, we had to create clear communication on how I needed to spend my time, how I needed him to show up for me to help with the kids so I could do this. And yes, there is that tug of war of, okay, well, now he's home, but now I need to leave for an event or something. But we talk about this a lot. It's those short-term imbalances that create the long-term balance, where if I dive in here and work really, really hard for the next 5 years, that's setting our family up for the rest of our time. Like being able to cast that vision. And now, obviously, when you get started, you might be making pennies, right? I made a little bit, but that was a little bit of effort because that's all I had to give. And as I, started to learn what I was doing here and create some leaders, that leverage is powerful. It takes off. And guess what happens? I'm empowering other people that are bringing income into their family. They get ignited. It builds my income. Now I'm able to pivot and spend more time here to treat it like a business and grow an income that is a pretty phenomenal income. To be able to say, when we talked earlier, when you said to be a 6-figure earner, I'm like, that feels good to say that. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I am a work-from-home mom. Creating legacy income that is more than income. It's my time. I'm giving me back to my family, and I'm helping other people do that same thing. So people will not kill my bulletproof belief in what this is. I know what I have my hands on. I'm a walking testament of it. I'm a mom who is passionate about helping, and I've been able to rewrite my story. So I know that there's a lot of people that they're stuck in a wheel and they don't know their way out. And maybe this seems like uncomfortable, or it might seem like a strange avenue, but I promise you, if you are willing to dive in, lean in, learn, lock arms with some leaders, you're going to find a path to life that you're going to really love. That's what I'm so grateful for, is being open-minded enough and willing to be uncomfortable, to do something different, do something out of the norm that has completely changed my story.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go back just a little bit. I'm curious you said communication, high communication is what was some of the ways you were able to work that through those times with your husband. Can you breathe any more life into that? Like how was it? I mean, I know there was probably some heated moments. There usually is, but like, was it like just laying out a calendar? I just give you some context.
Yeah.
I remember a conversation I had with my wife once, and I think it was like a Sunday night, and I go, I'm going to New York tomorrow. And she says, you're going to New York tomorrow? You never told me that. And I said, it's on our calendar. And she said, I'm your wife. I don't have to look at a calendar.
Well played, Lynette.
And so it was at that moment where I was like, maybe we need to change the way we're communicating, right? And so did you guys have to physically change the way you communicate? Like how were you able to overcome that hurdle?
Yes, it is an open communication of like, we have to set boundaries on time. Like our time together is when the kids go to bed till like 10 o'clock, that hour and a half where if he's home, I've got that time with him. Just being intentional and like telling my team that too. Like I'm not going to be, able to respond until tomorrow if it's after 10 o'clock. Like those clear lines of communication, because you have to show people that they matter. And that means like not sitting on your phone while you're sitting on the couch. Put it down, like have intentional conversation and quality time. And yes, it was a battle like at the beginning, but again, it was like him starting to see, now I'm building a team and these people depend on me too. So I have to show up for them. And I want to. I don't have to. I want to show up for them. But I also want to show up for my family too. So
yeah, it's a great suggestion. Well,
yeah.
I said the great suggestion because it's those little things like, what do you mean better communication? So what you just said, like you may be with the person, but if you're on your phone, you're not with the person, right? Yeah. So I love that you shared that. Another tip that I've heard a long time ago, especially with kids, because that's the other thing. You got a partner and those issues, but then you've got children. That's a whole nother level of how do you manage that relationship because they don't understand. Kids don't understand, what you're trying to do, the big scheme of things. So I learned that even it works with kids or a spouse. You go to them on the same day of the week, whether it's Sunday night or Monday morning, whenever you're doing your planning for the week, and you say something like, "Hey, I just want to know what's important to you this week. Where do I need to be with you? Or do you have something going on this week that I need to be a part of?" Like if it's kids, like, is it something at school? Is it something in sports? Is it this? Is it that? Where do I need to be that's important to you this week? And then make it a priority. But then the other side of that is, okay, well, then this is what I have to do this week. And
Yes.
huge, huge difference if you will just take that extra step ahead of time.
Yeah. So when my twins were still home with me, it was a lot harder because I had just that mom guilt. I'm sure there's listeners here that probably feel it like, yes, I want to do this, but pulling my time away, especially if you're working on top of it, pulling yourself away for that little bit of time feels guilty. But you have to remember, why are you doing it? What is motivating you? Your goal is to be that mom that has more time with their kids. And this is like something you have to spend some time moving that wheel forward so that you can create something that's giving you those choices. That's the entire reason why this vehicle is beautiful. Whatever you want out of it, whether it's income, time, better health, whatever you're in this mission for, it's your vehicle. It's up to you if you want to drive it or not, right? So you have to set priorities too. Like, it's been easier now that all my kids are in school. So I work really hard during the day. And as soon as they're out of school, we are in this crazy age of all the activities. Like, don't even get me started on the immense amount of youth activities. I'm a coach and I still think it's too much, but I give them priority. And then I have to spend some time, and my husband understands this. And honestly, it was like flipping the script on him. I go, you leave for 4 days at a time, and you tell me the day you're walking out the door that you're gone for 4 days. And guess what? I just know that that's the job. And I'll make you feel bad about it. You're providing, you're doing your job. Let me do mine. And let's be a team. Like, you have to have, again, it goes back to a team, a partnership, a team. You only get better when you grow together. It's not who's going to outshine who. That's not the point. Is let's be better together and support what we're doing. But he's in a very different wheelhouse now. I'm the entrepreneur. I'm the one having flexibility. He has a business that doesn't move without him.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is to create something that takes that stress off of him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
what does it look like when we're 60? Are you still going to be doing that? Is someone else going to take over, or are we good? Like, I think we're good. We're on a good path.
What would you say in closing? What would you say in closing to the person that's listening to this? Because this whole podcast is dedicated to financial freedom. And I think network marketing is one of the major stepping stones to financial freedom. It's not what gives you financial freedom, because if you make $1 million a year in network marketing and you spend $1 million, you're still messed up. So,
Yeah.
what would you say to the person that's trying to make that step to do this full time? They've been doing it part time. They've made a few $100 a month, maybe $1,000 a month, but they're struggling to build the team. Like, what would you say to the person now that you're on the other side? What's some advice you would give them?
Well, first of all, it's worth the work. Like, staying committed, staying the course, it's absolutely worth it, because on the backside of it, if you're willing to work and grow, no matter how long it takes you, it's worth it, because you're getting closer to the life that you want. And for me, it was really diving in and helping to empower other leaders. Like, you have to find your pocket of people that are going to run with you, like keeping a close team, because you have to have support, right? As we grow through this, it's not easy. So having that pocket of support, to have people to lean on, even when it goes, the ebb and flow of this kind of business, is stick to your guns, know why you're doing it, right? You made a decision, and don't waver from that. Whatever it takes to make that go. Surround yourself with people. Like, I lean on you, Brandon. I watch you. I learn from people that lead from the front. And what are you doing? Like, be a lifelong learner. Be willing to ask the questions, like, how do you find the success? And it's finding people that have what you have and being willing to do what they do within reason of balance of family and what you're willing to, sacrifice. But I promise you guys, like, if there's anything burning in your gut saying this feels like this is what I need to do, follow it. That's like that God nudge burning in you. Like follow it, because you have to, this is something you have to create. It doesn't just happen. You have to create, you have to be willing to work and learn. But this has been a vehicle that provides more than you could ever imagine when you stay laser focused on what the goal is, what you want, and run with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I love the fact that you had a little time from your busy life as a successful, the most successful networker to ever come out of Harvard.
You know what? You know how we advertise things in small towns? We just put boxes in the middle of the street with a sign on it. I think I'm going to go put that in the middle of the street.
I think they need to be a sign that when you come into Harvard, Nebraska, there needs to be a sign, home of Jami.
That's right.
I think it needs to be there.
It's been so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And I look forward to your continued success watching it happen.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
See ya.